I hope all of you are doing good. I am Roshni from Learno Hub, the free learning platform. Today I am here with the second video of the video series on Natural Resources Class 9 Science, and in this video we are going to discuss in detail about air pollution, causes and control, and we will also talk about acid rain. So now that we have spoken so much about air and we saw that air is extremely important to each one of us, not only us but for all life forms. But these days the quality of air is degrading because of the presence of some undesirable substances. So this is where we are going to talk about air pollution. So what is air pollution? Contamination of air with harmful substances. So when the air gets mixed up with some harmful substances. So what could be these harmful substances? So these harmful substances could either be some harmful gases, or it could be some poisonous particles, which might not be gases but some poisonous chemicals or some poisonous particles, or it could even be some biological molecules which when present in excess amount can be harmful for life forms. So any of these harmful substances getting mixed up in the air pollutes the air or kind of makes the air dirty, and that is when we call it air pollution. So now let us quickly look at the harmful effects of air pollution. So contaminated air can affect the respiratory system of humans and other animals, and as a result living organisms might suffer from respiratory disorders. That is, they might have difficulty in breathing. Now if there is problem with your respiratory system, then what's going to happen? Because as I said, the respiration is very important. Oxygen gets inside your body through respiration, and then oxygen helps in breakdown of food, not breakdown of food but conversion of food to energy. So that process will get impacted, and as a result it might affect the survival of living organisms as a whole. So this contaminated air can cause respiratory disorder, reduce crop yield, because if the air is polluted, what happens? Like the plants also need air, right? So the carbon dioxide which the plant's getting, or the nitrogen that enters inside the plant, they are also not the pure carbon dioxide. So along with that, some harmful chemicals are also entering inside the plant. As a result, the crop yield might reduce. Premature death of plants. In fact, this can even lead to death of a large number of plants before time. Diseases and death in humans and other animals. Now, how much harmful air pollution will be, that depends on the concentration of the pollutants, that is the concentration of the harmful substances, duration of exposure, that is for how long are you getting exposed to polluted air, and also the duration and also the type of organism. Like different organisms will have different levels of immunity, right? So depending on all these three factors, it depends that how much disease or death it can cause in various animals. Now these were the harmful effects, but what about the causes? What cause air pollution? Industrial emissions. Now with industrial development, so many factories and industries have been set up at different places. Now these factories and industries emit a large number of poisonous gases. For example, furans, toxins, but all these things, they have the ability to mutate human genes. Not only that, in the industries and factories, a lot of burning takes place, right? So when plastics are burned, lot of harmful gases like carbon monoxide, sulphur, along with oxygen, nitrogen, they get emitted. So these poisonous gases in turn pollute the air in the surroundings. Dust. Now dust from large stretches of land with little or no vegetation, because if you have too many plants or trees, what happens? The roots of the plants, they tend to hold the soil tightly. But when there are no plants, what happens? Like the soil or the sand, they tend to kind of move away from one place to another. So this results in more dust. So with little vegetation, you will have more dust, and these dust in turn will pollute the air. Radioactive emission. Now radioactive decay occurs within the Earth's crust. The gases like radon are produced. Now, radon is a very harmful gas which can cause diseases like lung cancer. So it can be really deadly. Volcanic activity produce harmful substances like sulphur, chlorine, and even a lot of ash. Smoke from fires, or even the smoke from burning of different substances which might contain a very harmful gas like carbon monoxide. Automobiles. So when we talk about the automobiles, the smoke that gets emitted from the various vehicles, that also pollute the air. Not only that, too much of noise which is caused by honking of vehicles, which is like a kind of unnecessary noise, that can also cause psychological as well as physiological damage to human beings. So that ways automobiles add to air pollution as well as noise pollution. So as discussed, when we talk about the industrial emissions primarily contain sulfur and nitrogen dioxides, which are extremely harmful for humans. So if you talk about the sulfur dioxides, so sulfur dioxide is a colorless gas, however it has a very pungent smell, and it is very reactive in the sense that it reacts easily with other substances to form harmful things like sulfuric acid. So sulfur dioxide reacts to form sulfuric acid or sulfurous acid or sulfate particles. So now this sulfuric acid in turn can cause acid rain. The sulfate particles can be transported in breathable particulate material. Now, if these particles are breathed in, like when we are breathing, these particles might also enter inside our body. So they can cause nose and throat irritation, coughing, shortness of breath, or even tight feeling around the chest. So these are some of the problems that can instantly happen if you inhale the sulfate particles or any of these harmful substances. Now, why so much of sulfur dioxides are emitted from industries? That's because industrial activity processes materials containing sulfur. For example, electricity generation from coal, oil, or gas that contains sulfur. Similarly, mineral ores contain sulfur. So their processing also release sulfur dioxide. So in industries, we deal with materials which have lot of sulfur. So therefore, the sulfur dioxide gets released in large amount from industries. Now, when we come to nitrogen dioxides, so these nitrogen dioxides are also very harmful. So their source is primarily the burning of fossil fuels. For example, when you burn coal, oil, gas, diesel, etc. at very high temperatures, nitrogen dioxides are released. Now, the property of nitrogen dioxide is that it very easily mixes with particles in the air and pollute it. And if this polluted air, that means the air mixed with nitrogen dioxide, if that is inhaled by us, it can cause cough, it can affect the lungs, can even cause asthma or other respiratory infection. Automobiles. Now, as discussed in short before that, automobiles release harmful tiny particles in the air. And these particulate matter, if inhaled, can cause diseases, primarily respiratory problems again. Not only that, the presence of these tiny particles in the air also reduce the visibility on roads. So if the visibility is reduced, what happens? It is more accident prone because you see everything hazy. So when you see things hazy, what happens? You might end up meeting accidents. So the chances of accidents increases. They also produce high levels of carbon monoxide, carbon dioxide, and nitrogen oxides. Now, carbon monoxide is one very harmful gas. And when is it produced? It is produced by incomplete burning of petrol or diesel. Now, carbon monoxide is so harmful that it can even lead to death if present in large quantities. Now, do you know what actually carbon monoxide does? Why is it so harmful that it can even cause death? So, if carbon monoxide reaches inside our body in sufficient amount, it reduces the oxygen delivery to different organs of the body, because as we know that every organ of our body or every cell inside our body needs oxygen. because with oxygen only the cellular respiration takes place. That means the process of respiration taking place inside every cell needs oxygen. So it is very important that oxygen should be able to reach out to each and every cell of the body. Now when the carbon monoxide is present in large amount inside the body, it reduces the oxygen delivery to different parts of the body. So if oxygen is not able to reach to different parts of the body, then what will happen? Respiration will not take place. As a result, the organisms will not be able to survive. So that way carbon monoxide is extremely harmful and therefore it leads to death. In fact, when you talk about carbon dioxide, so carbon dioxide is necessary for living organisms but only in small amounts. So if there are high levels of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere, that will be harmful, because too much of carbon dioxide can increase the overall temperature of the earth. Too much of carbon dioxide also contributes to the greenhouse effect. So we will learn about greenhouse effect sometime later in this chapter. So where you will see that if there is excess of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere, it overall spoils the appropriate temperature of the earth. Automobiles also release a lot of smoke. Now, what exactly is smoke? What does smoke contain that smoke is harmful? Now, smoke contains again nitrogen oxides, which combine with other particles in air to form nitric acid. So, nitric acid, that is again an acid which is extremely harmful, which can not only be a cause of acid rain, it can also combine with fog to form so it kind of again pollutes the air. So if you inhale that air, it can again cause a lot of respiratory problems. Not only that, smoke can also combine with fog. So smoke, if it combines with fog, it forms smog. And smog is generally seen in winters, because normally we see fog in winters. So fog, when combines with smoke, makes it smog. And smog can cause breathing problems, asthma, cough, etc. So basically, if you look at all the causes, you would see that the major harmful effects, like with air, polluted air, mostly the respiratory system of different animals get damaged. So now that we know the causes of air pollution and also its harmful effects, we should definitely try to take some steps to control air pollution. So let's see what can we do to control air pollution. First of all, filtration of industrial pollutants before being released to the atmosphere. Now, because as we see that the emission from the industries and factories are a major cause of polluting the air. So therefore, even before the pollutants or the harmful substances get released from the industries, we can filtrate them so that the impurities are removed by means of some fine physical barrier. For example, fine mesh-like structures can be, kind of incorporated within the industries. And these fine mesh-like structures must be replaced or cleaned periodically so that, they can properly filter out, or they can properly stop the harmful substances from getting released. So we can also use candle type ceramic filter, because the small pore size of ceramic material filters dirt, debris, bacteria, etc. really well. So appropriate filtration of the pollutants is a must in industries and factories. Maintenance of automobiles to reduce pollutants emissions. So when you talk about the automobiles, so the gases that get emitted from these automobiles, so if we get our automobiles maintained properly, like proper cleaning or proper sort of maintenance, then it will reduce the amount of pollutants that get released from the vehicle. Maintaining cleanliness. So if we keep our surroundings clean, that will help us to reduce the amount of dust and dirt that is present everywhere. Say no to crackers. So that's very important, because when we burn crackers, even though we do not burn crackers every day, but even during the festive season, for example, in India we celebrate Diwali by burning a lot of crackers. So when you burn so much of crackers, even in those 1 or 2 days, you end up polluting the environment so much that sometimes it becomes really difficult to even breathe. Noise reduction, so unnecessary honking of vehicles or playing loudspeakers or mics at extremely high volumes should definitely be avoided, because too much of noise can also adversely affect the health of animals. Proper disposal of wastes, that's very important. So let's avoid burning unnecessarily, because we often see that a lot of people, what they do is whatever waste materials that comes out of their house or from their neighborhood, they collect all of them and then burn them just because they do not need that. But when you burn, what happens? A lot of harmful gases get released into the atmosphere, and which in turn pollutes the atmosphere. So let's avoid burning. Instead, use the wastes to prepare manure. For example, the organic wastes like the vegetable wastes or most of the wastes that come out of your kitchen, they can be used to prepare manure, which in turn will help in better growth and better development of plants. So we should try to segregate the wastes properly. Maybe the organic wastes or like the biodegradable wastes on one side, which can be recycled and then reused, the non-biodegradable ones on the other sides, and they should be disposed of at the right places. Alternative sources of energy besides fossil fuels. Now, fossil fuels are extremely wonderful things because they act as an extremely good source of energy. But at the same time, burning fossil fuels release a lot of poisonous substances like oxides of nitrogen, some harmful gases. So therefore, we need to keep a balance that we do not end up using too much of fossil fuels. So alternative sources can be solar energy, wind energy, water energy, because these energies, they do not, kind of pollute the environment. So wherever possible, we should make use of these alternate sources of energy so that, we can strike a balance between usage of fossil fuels for energy and the betterment of the environment. So this was all about air. Now let's talk about another natural resource which is just present naturally in around us, and that's rain. So what comes to your mind when you think of rain? So a rainy day reminds us of an umbrella or a raincoat, a holiday on a rainy day. Rainy season is full of water everywhere. So what causes rain? So what causes so much of water suddenly falling down on the earth? So what causes rain? So let's understand the entire process of what makes rain happen. Now, when you look at the water bodies, now if you look at the entire planet Earth, more than half of it is covered with water. So we have huge number of water bodies. Now, during daytime, in the presence of sun, the water gets heated. And when water gets heated, a large amount of water also evaporates. That is, the water gets converted into water vapor. So that's common. Now what happens when the water gets converted into water vapor? Now when the water is getting heated, the layer of air exactly above this water body, like that is the air which is located somewhere here, so that air is also getting heated. Now when the air gets heated, what happens? That hot air rises up, because as we know, hot air is less dense, and anything which is less dense will rise up. Now this hot air is not only hot air, the hot air also contains the water vapor in it, like this water vapor which was formed. So the water evaporates. So here in the water bodies you have water, they evaporate to form water vapor. At the same time, they heat the air above the water bodies. So the hot air along with the water vapor, they start rising up. Now as the air starts rising up, it gradually starts cooling down as well, because gradually it is going away from this hot water body. So as it rises up, it gradually cools down. Now as the air gradually cools down, what happens? This cooling causes condensation of the water vapor into liquid water droplets, because right now what is going up? So right now whatever was going up was basically a mixture of hot air plus the water vapor. But when they have gone sufficiently up, the hot air start cooling down. So when the hot air cools down, what will happen? The water vapor, now the way when you heat, let's say you take water and you heat water. So what will happen? Evaporation will take place. So water will get converted to water vapor. Now similarly, if you do the other way around, so if you have water vapor and if you cool it, then what will happen? It will get converted to liquid water droplets. So that is what is happening. So as it has reached at sufficiently height, the Air cools down, and this cooling causes condensation of water vapor into liquid water droplets. Now, where do these liquid water droplets go? So this liquid water droplets, they start accumulating on dust particles which are present in the atmosphere. So in the atmosphere you have a lot of dust particles and all. So let's assume here that this black thing that you see, this represents a dust particle, and this is the blue thing is the liquid water droplets. So on this dust particle, the liquid water droplet starts accumulating. So what happens? You had lot of water vapor here. So all of that water vapor is gradually getting converted to liquid water droplets. So all of these liquid water droplets gradually, kind of condense together. They all come together. So they all group together, and gradually they turn bigger and bigger. And this is what that makes the cloud. And when the cloud become big and heavy enough, they fall down as rain. Because as long as they are not that heavy, that means they remain at the top as long as they are not very dense. As long as they are less dense. The moment they become very heavy, very dense, they tend to come down. And how do they come down? They come down in the form of water droplets, because cloud is nothing but the condensed form of water. So basically it is water droplets only. So then it comes down in the form of water droplets, and that is what we see as rain. Now sometimes if the temperature is extremely low, for example in the hill stations, you might have seen that there is no rainfall, rather there is snowfall. That's because the temperature was so less that these liquid water droplets were not liquid water droplets, rather they were small bits of snow or small bits of ice. So it falls in the form of ice. So this is how rain is caused. So I hope that this entire process appeared simple. So let us look at a quick recap of the entire process of formation of rain. So the first step is water evaporates from water bodies in presence of the sun. Then this water vapor heats up the air. So this air gets heated up. Now hot air is less dense, therefore it rises up. Now this hot air also contains the water vapor with it. Now as the air rises up, it gradually cools. Now when the air cools down, what happens? The water vapor condenses to form liquid water droplets. These liquid water droplets, they get accumulated on the dust particles which are present in the atmosphere. Now the water droplets gradually turn bigger and bigger. Now water droplets, when heavy enough, they fall as rain. So this is a simple process by which rains happen. Now, what's the importance of rain? Is there any importance of rain at all? Well, rain plays a very crucial role. Firstly, in agriculture, because as we all know that for cultivation, we need a lot of water, because plants need water. Water contains several nutrients dissolved in it, and as a result, when this water is taken up by the plants through their roots, through this water, the plant gets all the necessary nutrients. So water is a key ingredient for the growth and development of plants. So we need water. So for agriculture, in fact, even if you see, even today in villages, the farmers, they desperately wait for rain. So when the rainy season comes, their entire fields get irrigated. Secondly, rain provides fresh water which is needed for survival of various life forms. So water is something which is needed by all the life forms. So we all need water, right? So from rain we actually get some fresh water, because otherwise you might say that okay, in the oceans also we have so much of water, but that is all salt water. So if we want to get fresh water from the ocean, we actually need to remove the salt from the seawater. So that is again a long process, a time consuming, as well as a process which involves a lot of cost. So that ways rain is it's like a direct source of fresh water, and fresh water is something which is needed by survival of different life forms, whether it is plants, animals, insects, birds. So all of them need water. Here in rain also there is a problem, like the air is getting mixed up with harmful substances which is causing air pollution. Similarly, the rain is also getting mixed up with harmful substances and it is becoming acid rain. So what is acid rain? So rain which is acidic in nature. So that means that type of rain which is contaminated with some sort of acids, that is called acid rain, and acid rain again is very, very harmful. So what do we mean by acidic in nature? Now any substance, now there are only three categories into which you can categorize solution: acidic, basic or neutral. Now what decides if a particular solution is acidic, basic or neutral? Now let's say, so that is determined by the pH level of that solution, right? So the pH scale is from 0 to 14. So if the value of pH is somewhere between 0 to 7, that means any value less than 7, that means that is acidic. So that solution is acidic. Any value between 7 and 14, that means the solution is basic. And if a solution has a pH value of 7, that means the solution is neutral. So this is how we identify whether a particular solution is acidic, neutral or basic. Now, why is it not a favorable thing if rain is acidic? That's because acids have many harmful effects on our bodies. Like acids can burn our skin if brought in direct contact with our bodies. So when you look at rain, so normal rain, not acid rain, which is normal rain, is considered to be unpolluted. So unpolluted rain, if you look at its pH value is 5 to 6. Whereas if you look at the pH value of acid rain, you see that its pH value is 4. So lower the value of pH, more the acidic that solution is. So if you see, in the normal rain is 5 to 6. So 5 to 6 is very close to the value 7. So that means it is slightly acidic, but it is quite close to neutral. But when you look at acid rain, the pH value drops further. That means it is all the more acidic. And why is it acidic? It is acidic due to the presence of various acids. For example, the sulphur and the nitric oxides. So the sulphur and nitric oxides make the rain acidic. So what actually happens is, sulfur and nitrogen oxides, they react with tiny water droplets to form sulfuric acid and nitric acid. So when the rain gets mixed up with sulfuric acid and nitric acid, then what is going to happen? Obviously the rain will turn acidic. So rain from these clouds then fall as very weak acid, and this is called acid rain. So who is the culprit here? In this case also we see that the main thing which is responsible for acid rain is sulfur oxides and nitric oxides. And how are these oxides formed? As we saw some time back, that these oxides are produced by burning of fossil fuels, by various industrial activities. So therefore we should put a check on all those things so that we can stop formation of too much of sulfur or nitrogen oxides. Now, what are the harmful effects of acid rain? Threat to aquatic life, because the acid rain contains harmful acids. So these harmful chemicals can pollute the water, because rain falls everywhere. So rain also falls on the water bodies. So when these harmful chemicals reach the water, these toxic substances are released into the water. So the water also turns acidic. And inside the water there are so many different varieties of plants and animals which are surviving. So when the water turns acidic, obviously it becomes a threat to the entire aquatic life. In fact, this is also possible that the entire aquatic life might end because of acid rain. Adverse effect on plants. Now, deteriorated growth of plants can happen due to acid rain, because the acid rain is rich in chemicals which are harmful for the plants. So when this rain is entering inside the soil, what will happen? The acids will also spoil the nutrients which are present in the soil. So it washes away protective covering on the leaves and also impacts negatively the process of photosynthesis. So this will have a negative impact on plants. As I said, it washes away nutrients from the soil, pollute the soil. Now what happens is the rainwater goes directly into the soil. So now if the rainwater contains harmful chemicals, or if it contains such strong acids like sulfuric acid or nitric acid, they are also going inside the soil. Now if the soil gets polluted, what's happening? The soil is polluted, that means the nutrients which are present in the soil, that is also getting polluted. So therefore the entire soil is polluted. Damaged statues and buildings. This is one very crucial harmful effect of acid rain. In fact, Taj Mahal is the best example to show how acid rain has impacted it. So if you look at the Taj Mahal around 20-25 years back, and if you compare it with what it is right now, you can see that it has blackened a lot. So what does this acid rain do? So it causes very fast erosion. So worst affected are those monuments which are made up of sandstone or limestone. So because such rocks are more susceptible to erosion. So if you look at the marbles of the Taj, it has been corroded in the past so many years gradually by the acid rain. So these acids basically, they kind of blacken the marbles, and that's how the statues and the buildings are damaged.
So children, I hope you found these videos useful, and do make sure that you watch all the 8 videos of the video series on Natural Resources Class 9 Science, and I am sure these videos are definitely going to help you. If you have a feedback to share, do let me know in the comment section. I would be more than happy to hear from you. I will meet you all very soon with a new video with a new topic. Till then, take care. Bye-bye.